Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly discussion series that's hosted by the Chaldean Cultural Center in collaboration with the University of Michigan Detroit Center, Unique Voices in Films, and CMN TV. Today, our special guest is Sam Sako. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sam is, he lives in California. He's a 40-year veteran in Hollywood and has worked as a casting director, producer, and an actor. And he has coached some of the best known on-screen talent, including Leonardo DiCaprio, Omar Sharif, Mark Strong, Russel Crow, just to name a few. So we are very happy to have you here today because I'm sure you have a wealth of information to share with us.
Thank you for having me. It's to me, this working with these famous actors and major actors, to me, it's become a job. You know, you go to school and you learn the cinema. Basically, everybody go to school that wants to learn directing or producing or acting. The thing is, when you go to the cinema school, you have to learn everything about film. Not only coaching or casting or producing or directing. And that's what I started. I started from the school in 1982, I think.
And so you were born in Iraq, correct?
I was born in Iraq, Baghdad, and I moved out just before the war, the Iraq-Iran war. I think it was 1978 or 79.
Okay, and then you came to the United States. When did you arrive here?
And guess where I arrived at first? Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, so we could have been neighbors, but then you decided to move to a warmer climate.
Yeah, I know. I lived there for 2 years. Sorry to the Detroit people, I could not stand it. It's just too cold. I hate the cold weather. I hate the snow. I don't like it. Maybe to go ski on the winter, but not to live in it every day. Especially having these heaters 24/7. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's very cold. And, you know, I used to think that it was mostly that the weather was getting warmer, but then the last couple of winters have been very bad. So yeah, it wouldn't have suited you for sure.
No, yeah, so 2 years of my time, I think was in 1982 when I left. I went to Wayne County in downtown. What is it called? Wayne County Community College.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I took 2 years associate degree of arts. And then I left Detroit and never went back.
And you moved right away to California from Detroit?
I moved to California right away. I landed in Los Angeles. I didn't fly, I drove. Took me almost 10 days, you know, because when you're young, you want to see everything. So we took, I think we took Highway 40, went through the entire south of the United States. We saw every state, you know, and landed in Los Angeles. Couldn't find a job. Just like looking for work. It's like you can't get a job. So luckily there was an Arabic center that was built by the Arabic community, and they let us stay there, me and my friend. They let us stay there, and that's when, you know, I decided, you know, to look for work and what have you.
And so how did you get involved in the film business? Was that something, an interest that you had from before, or what did circumstances happen where you ended up landing jobs in that field?
You know what, in Detroit, Michigan, you know, Detroit, the Motor City. I landed in Detroit and because everybody wants to become a mechanical engineer. You know, our Chaldean family, you know, you're either a doctor or what is it, an engineer, or what do you call it?
Lawyer?
Or muhandis or dictor or something like that, right?
Yes, dictor.
So I started studying engineering, and you know, I liked it. You know, I almost got a job at the Henry Ford, you know, in Detroit, Michigan, but it wasn't my thing. You know, we were always fascinated by the West, you know, the Western spaghetti with the Clint Eastwood, and you know, so I never liked it. And that's when I said to my mom and dad, I'm gone. I'm out of here. I can't, you know, I don't want to continue this. So because of the fascination of the film industry, and when we were young, I was like, I'm just going to go to Hollywood and get a job there, and that's how I went. I went there and I started going to school. I started going to California State University, Northridge, taking film and cinema classes. And then I took, also continued at UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles. So I became involved, with the cameras, with the lighting, directing, and all that stuff. And I got, I met a lot of people. And when you meet these guys, in your early 20s, you all grow together. And they get to remember who you are. It's like, oh, you know what? Let's just get Sam. He's a filmmaker, and as well, he's from the Middle East. He can help us in this department.
Okay, so relationships were important, and because you started early, because I was gonna say initially it sounded so easy, so I decided to come to Hollywood, and then I got all these jobs, and then all of a sudden, and I'm sure a lot of people have those dreams, but yours were executed because part of it is you kind of, sticking in it, getting into relationships and continuing on.
It's friendship. You make a lot of friends in the school, and also clientele. You have to be smart. If you see any event, screening of a film, or what have you, you need to show up to these events, because these events, they have directors, producers, you have business cards, you have to look your best, and you get to meet and mingle with them. These are the Hollywood people. So you get to mingle with them and they get to see you. This thing has to happen almost every weekend in order for your name to circulate among the peers. Hollywood is a small town, and people get to know each other if you go there and mingle into the parties and social events and what have you. Plus, if you have a film background, of course, they're going to look at you differently rather than just a guy from the street. Hey, you know what? Can I become an actor? Or can I become a director? It's kind of vague.
So you got involved in a lot of things. So it wasn't just kind of looking, and it seems like you also had an attitude of service, that you would be involved and you do your part without necessarily having the job. I know, like in working with you in the past, you really put a lot in before something has moved forward.
See, I have an attitude that I always go an extra mile to do the job. If I believe in something, I'll do it. I'll go all the way in. I'm not going to back up no matter what. People know me here. If we have a call time at 7, I am there at 6. I'll get my people at least 1 hour early, because you need to go there, prep yourself, you be relaxed and what have you. People like that. Many times, all Hollywood call times are 6, 5 a.m. I'm always 1 hour early with my crew, everybody. So they respect that. You need to show them who you are. You need to put a stamp telling them, like, look, this is who I am, this is what I know, this is what I can do. You have to go an extra mile so they can remember you.
Yeah, and I think what you said earlier, like from the very beginning, you said, well, I've met all these people and everything, but to me, this is a job. And just even describing it as such, you respect it as a job, and you do it as a job first and foremost. And I think people recognize that, and this is what they also respect about you. That's how you get your name known, that you treat this as a job and not just something like, okay, it's just this dream, and this, you're not just something that you're infatuated with, but you're respected as a job, where you go and you go on time and you leave and you do the job right.
Absolutely. You got to respect your work. That's how it goes.
And then we were talking earlier, and you were saying that there was a shift that had occurred in your work a little bit. So it seems like you did a lot of acting jobs in the past as well, aside from being behind the scenes. But you said there was some transitions that happened after 9/11. What changed during that time? And how did your job change?
I never liked acting. I don't like acting till today. I don't like it. It's something that if the director sees me, if there's a part, let's say my age, if I would go to audition, they pay a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money. So if you do it, if I do it, I'll do it for fun. That's what I'll do it for fun, to be on the set. To be on the set in Hollywood, to me, it's like getting a shot of morphine. You need it, because this is your life. It becomes your life. So you have to basically commit. You have to commit to your job, and by me saying it's just a job, you have to respect your profession. If you're a director, you gotta respect that profession. You gotta direct everybody on the set. If you're the producer, this is a big chip on your shoulder that you really have to execute in a matter where everybody listen to you. If you're the actor, you got to study your script. You got to really respect the dialogue. You got to understand where the dialogue comes from. You have to know when the writer writes a certain line, that line came from somewhere. So the actor has to take that line and interpret that line on the screen with the help of the director, of course. So every job, no matter what it is, the cameraman, grip, gaffers, the prop masters, acting, producing, directing, it's a job, and you have to respect it, and you have to be able to show that you are able and capable of doing it. This is the way I look at it.
And as a Middle Eastern consultant, so how did that role, change for you after? Did you see that there was more necessity for your background, for your Middle Eastern background?
Yeah, that's what I was going to go into the next point. It's because you love doing what you do. So I love doing what I do. So when the 9/11 came, the movie history shifted to the Middle East. In the old days, we had movie about Vietnam, and constantly for 10 years, Vietnam. So Hollywood and history go together. That's how it works. So when that shifted, because of my background knowledge of the Middle East, and I traveled throughout the entire Middle East, because I have the knowledge of the Middle East, and because of my film background, directors and producers, they know it's like, okay, Sam can do this job. All we got to do is give him the script. We don't even have to explain to him what the script is about. He'll interpret it for us. We'll give him that department completely. And that department include, and also because of my background, because I can read and write the language and what have you, and also graphic design is really important. You have to be able to do graphic designs, because you're on a set, for an example. If you get, Joe Abdul, just a guy who speaks and read Arabic, what have you, and you tell them, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to have a sign on the set that has to be done in a couple of hours. You have to design that shot. In my computer, I have converted my computer into many programs, one of them to design the graphics for such scene. As an example, one time we were supposed to shoot a scene the second day, and the director said, "This is what I want." So he designed the shot for us, and on the shot it says orphanage, one word, orphanage. I got into my computer, and he said, "We're going to shoot in 2 hours." The set designer, because there's no way we can do it. I says, "Okay, sit with me on the table." I sat down, I designed it in 10 minutes. I emailed it to the printer. The printer brought it back on a brick. We put it up on the wall, and the director came back 1 hour. 1 hour later, he came and he saw it. He goes, "Did you guys do this yesterday, 2 days ago?" He goes, "No, Sam just did it for us within an hour." So it's not just reading and coaching. It's like, okay, this is how we say Salamu Alaikum. This is how we say stuff. That's like the easiest thing. A lot of people show up on the set, say Allahu Akbar, I kill you in the name of Allah. Yeah, this is boring. That's not what I do. People's like, yeah, we can do that job. Okay, you're welcome. Here's Hollywood. Come and do it.
I like that. You're right. And with us working together, that's what I found about you, that there were so many times that I approach you on questions that have nothing to do with Middle Eastern, but it has to do with the film. It has to do with the project. It has to do with some difficulties we might be facing. And I really do like how you work and the calmness that you maintain, because obviously over the years you have seen it all, I'm sure. And you have, like you said, you've seen so many more difficult and challenging things. And one can feel that from the way that you respond to problems. I think that's where somebody's expertise really is important. And, you know, you were sharing earlier some pictures, which I would love for you to start sharing now so that we can see some of the people that you've been working with. I mean, how amazing is that? So I can see like the benefit that they received, but what did you receive from working with these individuals that are so incredibly talented, including like Clint Eastwood, Leonardo DiCaprio? And if you can share the pictures the way you did earlier, that would be really wonderful.
I tell you one thing is that when I was working on the movie Body of Lies with Leonardo DiCaprio and Ridley Scott, Ridley Scott, as you can see in the picture here, great director. He is one of the magnificent directors that I have ever worked with. They did an interview with me about the movie, and I called him Scott of Arabia, because most of his films are shot in the Middle East, and he loves shooting in the Middle East. He's a great director. So we're working with him, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Here on the set, we are walking. Let me just cover my picture. Here on the set, you can see Leonardo DiCaprio and myself in the background. We're prepping for the scene, and they have some kind of a dialogue in here. I think he's looking at the script for his next Arabic dialogue, of course. And as you can see, I have my headsets in there because I have to hear every word they say, which reminds me, we need to have that on your set.
Okay. Okay. You see what I mean? Yeah, we're still checking off things off our list. Now,
Yes.
I'm curious, was that in the Middle East, or remember what, by the way, I met Sam like I think it was like 15 years
This was
ago.
in Morocco. We shot this in Morocco.
In Morocco, okay. But when I came, and like 15 years ago, I came with my family because there was a different project that I was working on, and you were incredibly helpful during that time. But you took us to this town that
Yes.
was in California, where you said that a lot of scenes were like within Arabic nature is where they shoot them, and they'll just put, and really when you get in there, it looks empty, like it could be a village in any Middle Eastern area, and they just, you said, change the signs and things like that. So obviously this was on location in Morocco, but are there a lot of times where they also use that area in California?
There's a place that I'm going to try to see if I can get a picture of it, maybe here. Okay, like here's an example. This is the set that I brought you to one time, I think.
Okay, was this it? Yeah, I think, yeah, it was like just, and you said you guys just add some elements to it depending on what the film is.
I can see I designed the set, all the signage. This is supposed to be the border of Iraq and Iran and Turkey's border, where people are crossing through that gate. So we are setting up, you can see a couple of my guys on the top of the ladder putting that Turkish sign. And what's the name of that? It's called I think that was the gatekeeper or the wizard, one of those.
Okay.
And oh, here's my son, Sam, and the editor of so the set is in the background, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the set where I took you. This is the set.
Oh, yes, I have pictures there. This is it. Yes.
Remember that?
I do remember. My daughter was like a little toddler. No, she was a baby at that time. Like she was like 6 or 7 months.
And here's another shot of the set with, oh yeah, here's Danny Trejo, my son and myself, in the movie called The Prey, I think.
So Sam, your son is also involved in the business?
I tried to get him for the fun of it. You know, he works at the lab, blood test,
okay,
medical lab, and he graduated, got his ultrasound tech, and he's working as a lab tech right now. But once in a while, I take him out of that boring 9-to-5 job kind of a thing, and we go on the set. What else would you? Yeah, so that's the set that I took you there. Unfortunately, God rest his soul, the owner passed away earlier this year, and I think I posted some on. Okay, what else you can see? Oh, here, no, that's me operating camera. I was, I shot with the Panavision, Panaflex 16. That's my expertise as a photographer in there. One of my expertise. So this has nothing to do with Arab, has nothing to do with Middle East or Afghanistan or Pakistan or Kazakhstan or Chikistan.
Has to do with talent, huh?
It's just, that's, this is the market that you see this market here, the entire market here, I built it myself. You see this umbrellas, the props, wardrobe, all this wardrobe, all the clothes, all the signage in the background. See all the signage in the background. It's a major involvement. It's not just, hey, let me just coach an actor. It's more than that. And here's me with my girlfriend, Afghani girlfriend.
Oh, are you? Is there somebody really under?
Actually, we needed couple of girls, and I have that wardrobe. So I dressed up this little guy. He says, "Just put." You can't tell, it's Hollywood, right? And I don't know. What else you want to know? What else you wanted to see? Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, this is really interesting picture. You see this picture here, Tom?
Oh, yes. These are, oh my gosh. So
Yeah,
how many years?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at you guys. How did you get lighter, Sam? Even him, I don't know. I think it's the picture, but you guys both look like you've gotten lighter over the years.
I know I know we got lighter. You're right. We lost the sun. That was the movie called The Man with One Red Shoe.
I remember
worked
that.
with him, and I was a dock worker when a couple of bad guys comes in, and there's a Mercedes with a cocaine, and the Mercedes is dropped, and we all run to the Mercedes, sniffing the cocaine, a bunch of guys. And then 20 years later, I worked as a bodyguard on a movie called Charlie Wilson's War.
Oh, and yeah, that was a good movie. I've seen that one too.
So that one? Yeah, and then I brought this picture with me. I says, Tom, look at this photo. He goes, let's just do that again,
Oh, I see. So you remembered. Okay. Yeah, that looks really cool. That's really cool.
You remember the movies, of course. That's his thing.
Yeah, and I really like this. This kind of shows the relationship that you're talking about. I think people sometimes, when they're just patient in the process, they can, it becomes a part of you. Oh, here's Omar Sharif, the late Omar Sharif.
Yeah. So he was a really nice guy. He drinks a lot of whiskey.
Yeah, I heard that he had a little bit of a wild lifestyle, but he was an amazing actor for sure.
He's an excellent actor, really is. We used to sit down. I worked with him for almost 3.5 months on the set. The movie took about 2 years to make, so I was part of this film for 2 years. I even wrote a song in this movie too, believe it or not, with Howard Newton. And Viggo Mortensen was there, and Viggo asked me to do some kind of a design for his book. It's called The Good Horse. And later on, he sent it to me. He sent me the gift, and the book was in there. I was really happy. And Omar and Viggo and Joe Johnston, the director of this film, he did Jurassic Park 3, and he also did Rocketeer. And he directed Hidalgo. It was an excellent film. Did you see Hidalgo, by the way, by any chance?
I think I did, but it's not one that I'm not remembering like the other with the ones with the Tom Hanks, because we had a video store, a family-owned video store for 12 years. And some of the other films that you are mentioning, they were very popular. People used to rent them. So I remember the name more, but I'm not sure if I've seen this one. But I wanted to ask you, Sam, like it seems that one time I was watching, I was actually in this online workshop after COVID, and Sofia Coppola was on. She was just talking to people, whoever was a part of the Zoom meeting, and she said, you know, some of the advice that she would give is that she said that she always kept a job. Like now here's this director, you know, who has won an award and everything. She won an Oscar, and she was talking about one of the ways for her why she's successful and or she was able to do her films and why she stayed grounded is by keeping a job. Is that something that you recommend that people who want to be part of this job, in order for them, you know, so not to rely so much just on getting roles, but also to kind of find a way to balance it out with the work?
So it's her work. Does she want? Okay, I'm a little bit confused here. Does she want to become an actress or a
No,
worker?
Sofia Coppola, Francis Coppola's daughter, who she did several films and she won an award. So one time, I remember an advice that she gave that for people.
Francis. Oh,
Yes.
I thought it was an Chaldean friend that.
No, no, no. What I'm
You
saying
know, a
is,
lot of Kapala, Kaliwa, a lot of K.
I know.
I'm so sorry. Oh, of course, of
No,
course.
yeah, because I was mentioning that because, you know, there's a lot of people that are they try to break into the field, and I was kind of surprised when she said that, because I felt like that was one thing. It's so practical, but a lot of people don't mention that. They just say, oh, just keep persevering, oh, do this, oh, do that. But she said something that was so practical, and I think it's important because it keeps you grounded. What do you think about that? Like for people just to stay grounded and have a job while they're doing something that they really love on the side? Because you said like your son has this work. And
You have to have parallel line to what you do. You have to have a steady job to pay your bills. That's given. You have to do that. You cannot, you cannot go to Hollywood and dream, I'm going to become an actor, I'm going to become a director. You have to be working. What kind of job are you going to get? Actors, what do? Waiters. It's like the thing. They need to do waitering because they can take off to the audition whenever they want to, or they can ask their boss, hey, can you cover for me? So you got to take a job that is easy to leave rather than take a 9-to-5 job. Once you take a job 9 to 5 morning, you cannot leave to go to auditions. You cannot leave for the interviews. And you have to commit. You really have to be committed to this field in order to continue working on it. And this is what I did. Going back to myself, this is what I did. My parallel line to earn the money, I had to know everything about Hollywood. Hey Sam, can you do props? Yes. Hey Sam, can you do camera work? Yes. Hey Sam, can you become a DP? Yes. Hey Sam, can you do still photography? Yes. So I had to do that in order to work. I cannot go and work in a restaurant and nothing can be to be on the set. It would bother me. So
the flexibility, being flexible, whether by getting a job that's flexible or by what kind of work you do on the set, is very important.
Okay, or you have to be rich. You gotta be. You have to be rich. You have to have money to work in Hollywood. If you're gonna constantly, as an actor, if you constantly go on audition, it's just not an audition. You have to study. You have to constantly study. Most of these actors have diplomas in filmmaking.
Yeah.
And it seems like, oh, they're so famous. The glamour of Hollywood. It's really not a glamour. They work hard to get where they are.
Yes, it is a lot of work, and it takes years. And sometimes one project, as even the project we've been working on, I mean, sometimes it takes years. So last question, Sam, like it seems like, do you feel like for Middle Easterners and the storyline, is it evolving, changing? Oh, I like that. The pomegranate, the film that we're working on. Thank you. I appreciate you putting that out there. You see like my smile widened and I got all energetic. Which buttons, because when we get on the call, and I'll be super happy when things are moving forward. But do you see that there is a little bit of a transition happening? I know like the story that we're working on right now, some of the things that have been special about it, one of the reasons that Scott Rosenfeld came on board and others is because they are ready for these kind of stories and they really want to push them forward and have them succeed. Do you feel that there is a little bit of a shift with that with storylines concerning Middle Easterners?
Okay, since 9/11, how many years is that? What, 10 years?
20, yeah, 20.
20 years, 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. 20 years Hollywood has been doing nothing but, okay, Arab bad, Muslim bad, Middle Eastern bad. That's what they do. Okay, enough. I am one of the people who constantly working on these shows is always bad guys. The Arabs, the Middle Eastern people, their characters name, terrorist number one, terrorist number two, man number one, woman number two, mother. They have no names in Hollywood. And it's time for people to come up and like pomegranate, you need to come up and give these characters a name, show them who we are. Enough. I'm sick and tired of Hollywood making the Arabs constantly look bad, as if everyone is bad. That's how Hollywood portrays us. They portray us as villains. Since day one, since the existence, even go all the way back to Aladdin, the movie. Do you think Aladdin, the movie, look at the characters, the bad characters with an accent, but the good characters with an American accent. Why is that?
Wow.
They gave Aladdin an American accent, but they gave Jafar and everybody else the king. He has a bad accent. Everybody is bad, but the American accent, it's given to the heroes. Why is that? So
Amazing,
it's time for us to make
observation.
films. It's time for us to make films, show these people who we are. I mean, we have the power, we have the knowledge, we know exactly what's going on. We know how to make films. We're not stupid. Give us the financial needs so we can go ahead and show the good side of the Arabs, whether they are Muslims, Christian, Joe, Schmo, who cares?
Thank you so much for saying that, Sam, because give us the back, the push and the support, because most communities who were able to break through the stereotypes did it through storytelling. And right now, I really am so happy, and I appreciate the fact that you came on board with this film as a producer, as a casting director, especially because it is led by women talent. So the main characters are these diverse women, Christian, Muslim, wearing hijab, not wearing hijab, that diversity, and you understood the value of that. And that is why I appreciate what you did, because you backed it up as much as you can to the point where, helping it get to the point where it's going to be in production. And I really appreciate that. And we just need some more people to understand the value of it, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference in the people involved. It makes a difference for our children and our generations to come. And it makes a difference for the Arab world in general.
Absolutely. That's why at the beginning, and I really, I talked to you before about, okay, who is Sam Sako? Look at Sam Sako being with Leonardo DiCaprio, with Ridley Scott, with this and that. It's really, to me, it's like, okay, yeah, okay, whatever, Sam Sako. There's a lot of people who do this stuff. It's time, we'll just talk about our culture. In my mind, I have this idea of writing a movie 450 BC. It's called Sea of Chaldea. Sea of Chaldea is supposed to be a feature film that I'm working on that needs to be done. Very simple. Not to show the Chaldean. Look at the movie 300, The Gladiators. It's, all these movies are very successful. Even though it's a time period, people like to go see these films. So why can't we make a movie called Sea of Chaldea?
We can. That's the thing. We can make it. We have the resources. And what I have found is when we put it out there for people, I do see an interest. We just have to put it out there and get the financial backup, the correct support. We have the talent. You saw how when you put out the casting call, we saw amazing amount of talent come forward, and we were like, wow, like this actress, or this person or that person, and they're all ready to work. And I think we just, there's a void there. There's a possibility for a very successful line of business even in it. It's not just a matter like, oh, well, it's something that is like film and not necessarily financially rewarding. That's not true at all. Hollywood has been successful by telling good stories, and we could do the same thing. Yes.
Exactly. I know the time is getting to an end. I don't know if you guys want to end it now or maybe another.
No, I like what you're saying. Go ahead. I really enjoy what you're saying. I
just
think
want
it's
to
very
say,
valuable.
yeah, we need to go to these to the major sources. I mean, if we have to make Sea of Chaldea, if we have to go to the bishops, then let's go to the bishops. People will listen to them to get the finance to make these films. We don't want to make this film to profit from it. We want to make films like this to show the story of the Chaldeans. You know, is it fair that Iraq was Chaldea? Now we only have maybe 100,000 or 50,000 living in the mountain, not knowing when the Afghani gonna attack, or the ISIS is gonna attack, or the Turkish is gonna attack, or the Kurdish is gonna attack them. Why is that? Why did we lose it?
And
It's not that I'm saying we need to bring it back. Okay, let's just go conquer Iraq, but let's just show the world who we are. They need to know our history. I mean, a lot of people in Hollywood that says I'm Chaldean. Who? Why don't you know what Chaldean is? Chaldean, how do you spell it? With a K? No, with a CH. So we need to let them, before I used to tell them I'm from Iraq. Where the heck is that? Baghdad. What the hell is that? You tell them Baghdad, they think the 40th is a flying carpet. This is how Hollywood is. And also,
we have a responsibility to do that, because we're right now, like the Chaldean Cultural Center is using digital storytelling to tell stories about like our people. The reason what I explained to the people when we interview them, nowadays, this has been going on for a while, but especially nowadays, everything is digital. People are watching movies, people are like going on social media more than they are reading books. So maybe in the past, academia and other places were able to, on a historical level, they address us, but for a lot of people, they think we don't even exist anymore. And I think film is an incredibly powerful medium in order for us to tell our stories, so that you're not as one person telling people who we are, me one person every time I have to, repeat the story. It's about, it becomes international, and then we're telling the world, not just one person at a time.
Exactly. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
So inshallah, the next time I interview you, we'll talk about, what's the title again? I love the title, by the way.
Sea of Chaldea.
Sea of Chaldea. Okay, next time we have you on, Sam, we're going to be talking about Sea of Chaldea. How about that?
In Arabic, Bahr al-Kildan.
Bahr al-Kildan. Okay, beautiful title. Okay, thank you very much for joining us today. You've offered a load of information. And we enjoyed it very much, especially along with your humor. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Watch the movie Soul, please, everybody.
Soul, S-O-U.
With Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
Okay, it's an animation film. I think your kids will like it. Everybody watch the movie The Soul. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.